Hey, Chrissy!
Welcome
to another early morning hanging with Andy and Chrissy, true love warriors. It is July 5th. We had an outstanding time at our friend David and Beth's house last night.
It was amazing. There were fireworks truly going off, it felt like, right in front of us.
It was
and
very
it was
exciting.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Great people, good times. So
Great people. Very good times. Always fun to hang out with.
So we were talking a bit this morning about showing love. We were talking a bit about forgiveness.
Well, we talk a lot about forgiveness.
It's true.
In life, you're given people, like, come in and out of your life, and some of them are just come and stay for a little while, and some come and stay for a long time, and if you're lucky, they leave and they don't do anything bad. You stay in contact with them a little bit, and there's still a friendly friendship and love between them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's people who want to cut your throat when they leave. They want to hurt you. The last thing they say to you is some horrid thing, and it's like, it's terrible, and they just are awful people to you.
So you don't really get reconciliation.
So your feelings get all bunched up, and you feel like sad, and like, why did they say that to me? I thought we were friends, and they just rip into you, and then you're left with kind of this blankness in you. Mm-hmm. And we've had that happen to us multiple times, but what do you do then? How do you forgive? As a Christian, how do you, like, just forgive that? Like, you have all this anger, you're hurt.
Sure.
Okay, what do you do with that? You know, it's taken me a long time to understand how I'm to really process that, you know, and move on. And although it's like I've moved on, and I'm very happy that I've moved on, there's still remnants of that hurt that come up every so often, and you still wonder, why did someone do that? Okay, but after you're done with all that, you're like, how do I just get past this? And it's like, man, I just want to, like, nothing in this situation. So bad. And it's like, but then I realized nothing something
Yeah.
like that isn't the answer. You have to, it's kind of like 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8, kind of talk about what love is, you know? Well, forgiveness is kind of, it's just love, you know? So the Bible said love your enemies, and also forgive them. I think forgiveness is love. It's letting go of the anger towards that person. But it doesn't even matter if you have that person around you. You can do that without
some sort of
a
direct reconciliation or
Yeah.
anything. Yeah. Huh. I think that's really neat. That's, I mean, one of the ways God shows his love to us is through forgiveness. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Through
I think
his
that's
son.
really neat. Yeah, we've been, we also watched a video this last week. We can put a link in the description, but we watched a video, and one of the quotes from the video that I just really resonated with me, really has stuck with me, is that I want the mind of my master to be the master of my mind.
Ooh, that's good.
I love that. I love that because that is what I want. Yeah. I want that full self-control. I want to be able to master those thoughts, or I master the, you know, and honestly master my tongue. Like James chapter 3 talks about, which is all kind of tied into this, but it talks about how like, consider a ship. This is James 3:4. And they're so large, and they're driven by the strong winds, but they're steered by a very small rudder. And wherever the pilot is inclined to go. So in the same way, the tongue is a small part of the body, but man, so much comes from the tongue.
A lot of damage.
A lot of damage, a lot of hurt.
Yeah, a lot of hurt. With an uncontrolled tongue. And so it's like, if the mind of my master can be the master of my mind, then I can have better control of that tongue. Because it talks then too that with the tongue we bless our Lord and Father, and then we curse men who is made in God's likeness. Like that really honestly is a conflict. And so it's the mastering of the tongue to say, for it to be, because out of the tongue, or out of the body, the actions is the fruits of the Spirit. So absolutely,
if I'm able to master that in my mind, and it's all, the thing is too, it's all a process. God talks about how we through our actions, through our efforts, through anything that we're doing, like, faith without works is dead. So anything we're doing is a perfecting in us. We are getting refined all along the way. So
all the time.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's an interesting thing, but like for me, it's like a lot of times the biggest shame I feel, if I feel shame, I don't really feel shame, but it's like, is my reaction to someone's tongue. Learning to let it be.
Let them be whatever it's going to be.
And it's like, so then I feel the most upset because of how I handled it.
That is a hard one, though. I tell you, it really is. That is that self-control piece. It is a really, but it takes practice. That's what it is. It will take practice, and that will strengthen.
And that's what those instances are. They're an opportunity for you to recognize
absolutely what
you failed at.
Yeah. So
you can do it better if there is a next time.
Yeah, and likely God will present a next time.
we pray there isn't a next time, but
But if there is, you'd be better prepared for it.
This is my case. In our case, we've had that happen several times, and I feel like I never really reached that. I feel like now maybe, but I've even seen myself slip since then. And so it's like, I just want to be in control of that part of me. And I know that God's working on me about it, and I believe in time I will be. It's just, I want to be able to forgive someone. I'm kind of also starting to look at relationships, friendships, whatever. You gotta forgive them before you even get into it. Before you even have the friendship. If you can't forgive them now for what they might do in the future.
Wow, that's interesting.
If you can't do it now, why even bother going into the relationship or anything at all?
That's interesting, because that's what Jesus did on the cross. He forgave all future. Like, that's a really interesting way of looking at going into a friendship.
It's kind of you have to look at life. You can't look at life in a fifth dimensional way where you're deconstructing the things you've been taught and understanding it's not about what you've been taught, but what is true. And because you're not always taught the truth. You believe it's true because someone says so, but it's not necessarily the truth. When you can get into that fifth dimensional way of seeing it and really see it like, okay, it goes back to that whole God view thing. When you can see it like that, look what Jesus did. He died for the sins of the world.
Right.
Okay, so he was doing that before you even committed the sin.
Yeah.
God had planned that long before you were even created.
Well, yeah.
Well,
yeah. Born.
Or at the same time. I don't know how that all works, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That so he had planned his son to come and release you and give you a path back to him.
Yeah.
Long before
you were born, for sure.
Before you were born.
Yeah.
So I think we should take a note there and do the same thing with others. And it's hard at first because like we've been taught something else. Like for me, I was taught something different. I never really did that, But here I am now. If I can learn to do this now, my life will be a lot more at rest.
Yes, I think what you're saying is spot on, because I think in the world and just in life, you kind of are taught, or it's natural to just react.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like it's not, it's like something happens, there's a reaction to the happening, and it's like, but sometimes when you look at it, and sometimes that's true and good, like that you should have a reaction to, a small fire in your kitchen or whatever it is, react to it right away. But there are things where it's like, I don't have to react to this at all. Like,
no.
There are certain situations where and probably more often than you even realize, I don't have to react to this.
Imagine what that does for your...
Oh, there's a peace.
Yeah, for your brain, for your life.
Yeah.
It's not something bad you can look back on that you didn't handle right.
Yeah.
You just let it be.
Let it be.
It's
interesting because we are taught to be peacemakers as Christians. Like, that is part of the biblical teaching, to be peacemakers. But I think sometimes we miss out on the peace inside of ourselves.
Well, imagine the peace you'll feel.
Exactly.
Like for me, I think about the forgiveness thing. When I'm truly able to just do that, like love, in that same way, where I'm able to forgive, like I love, or like I desire to love, like God tells me to love. When I'm able to do that, it's like you have real peace and freedom. No one can ever hurt you emotionally like that. No one can ever knock you down. No one can ever rattle your cage ever.
Right.
You are so solid
in
that, because I think those are the kind of the foundations of what Christ wants you to do.
Right.
He wants you to be able to do that, and He will bring that to you.
Yeah.
In time.
Yeah.
But you gotta think about kind of what is that? What would Jesus do thing?
Sure.
But in a more tangible way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Not in a churchy way, but in a true blue, you and God Jesus looking at you saying, do this, and your life will be a lot more way it should be.
So in love, and this is interesting, in love, sometimes showing love is not doing anything. In the sense of, if you're not going to react to something and you're not going to do that, that sometimes is showing love. Like, it's an interesting thought, but it's not feeding into whatever that thing is. It's that taming of the tongue, or it's that reaction.
Just like love,
buffer.
There's a worldly idea of what love is. Just like love, though, there's a worldly idea of what forgiveness is.
True.
And worldly forgiveness is 100% not the same thing as God's forgiveness.
Right.
What He wants you to give. So it's like, put that first. Put the love first. Forgiveness first. Do it. Don't forgive for the other person or even for yourself, but forgive for Jesus.
Right.
Because he really wants you to do that.
Yeah. And I think that's it. Is that it's kind of what we talked about earlier, is that the more you do that, the more it's like it will become easier.
Practice it,
and then it's just like automatic. You don't even think. You're like, I used to struggle with that.
In time, it'll just do it.
You just do it. Yeah.
That's what I'm praying for myself.
Yeah.
I know I have a ways to go, but it's gonna get there.
Yeah.
I know it will. Because I've seen other things transform that way.
It's just like, what about Bob? Baby steps.
Just like about Bob. Baby steps. That's right.
Anyway. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's neat. That's really neat. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, it is. True Love Warriors.
True Love Warriors. Out.
Like, share, subscribe.
Put a comment down below.